State-owned defense contractors face a structural contradiction. Their mission requires secrecy for national security, while global capital markets demand extreme transparency for investment. Bharat Electronics Limited, or BEL, sits at this collision point. It's India's premier Navratna defense enterprise, producing high-stakes military hardware like this mobile radar. Operating under the Ministry of Defense, BEL is bound by the Official Secrets Act and strict procurement protocols. These requirements limit the standard corporate disclosures typically seen in the private sector. A new study by Dr. Uma Chowdhury conducts a 5-year longitudinal review of BEL's official disclosures from fiscal year 2020 through 2025. Analyzing a state-owned defense enterprise requires a specialized lens. Standard compliance checks often fail to measure the true institutional stakes of defense governance. The study audits BEL's performance against 4 international standards: the OECD principles, GRI standards, TCFD recommendations, and the IIRC framework. These benchmarks are analyzed through 3 academic frameworks: agency theory, stakeholder theory, and stewardship theory. In many Indian central public sector enterprises, governance can be strained by political appointment structures and regulatory overlap. The research evaluates BEL's ability to meet domestic compliance requirements, while identifying the specific obstacles it faces when measured against international ESG standards. Assessing BEL's performance through these frameworks offers an analytical case study for evaluating public sector enterprises on a global scale. The audit begins with BEL's internal accountability systems, populating the first green checkmarks. BEL maintains an ISO-certified vigilance department, an externally audited anti-corruption system, rare among Navratna enterprises.
This certification supports stewardship theory, demonstrating leadership acts as institutional stewards, integrating ethical monitoring into core processes. This institutional depth extends to BEL's transparency infrastructure, specifically its handling of right to information, or RTI, requests. By decentralizing RTI requests across 16 general manager-level officers, BEL creates structural accountability to the Indian citizenry and defense end users. Furthermore, BEL's voluntary adoption of integrated reporting allows the company to track value across 6 capitals, including human, social, and natural capital, moving beyond simple financial metrics. These sector-leading practices resulted in an independently verified CARE Ratings ESG score of 73.8 out of 100, establishing a strong ethical baseline for a state-owned firm. Despite this strong baseline, the study identifies structural deficiencies beneath the surface of BEL's environmental claims. The primary gap is a lack of alignment with TCFD, the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. BEL has set a net zero 2030 target. However, this commitment lacks the climate scenario analysis required by TCFD to determine how business models hold up under different global temperature pathways. A second deficiency: BEL doesn't measure Scope 3 emissions. While tracking direct fuel and electricity, their largest footprint, embedded in supply chains and military system disposal, remains unknown. This incomplete carbon inventory prevents international investors from validating climate risk exposure. From a governance perspective, environmental commitments require these structural reporting frameworks to be considered actionable by global capital markets. This level of transparency is achievable within the Indian defense sector. For example, BEL's peer BHEL publishes a standalone GRI-referenced sustainability report, providing a level of detail that BEL's integrated reports currently omit. BEL's disclosures also lack a double materiality assessment. BEL measures financial materiality, how external issues impact profitability. However, it misses impact materiality, measuring the effect the company's operations have on the external environment and local communities. There is also no explicit linkage between executive compensation and ESG performance targets. Agency theory suggests that without financial incentives tied to sustainability goals, management is structurally pushed to prioritize short-term returns over long-term ESG integration. These gaps create an invisible wall, preventing BEL from translating its internal ethical culture into the data language required by international investors. To bridge this critical gap, Dr. Chowdhury outlines a specific sequence of strategic, framework-grounded improvements for the organization. The 5 steps include adopting TCFD, publishing a standalone GRI report, assessing Scope 3 emissions,
implementing double materiality, and linking executive pay to ESG metrics. Following this roadmap is a strategic requirement for alignment with global standards like IFRS S1 and S2. Corporate governance functions as a measurable spectrum of evolving institutional capability. BEL has established a strong domestic presence through its use of integrity packs and ISO-certified vigilance infrastructure. To engage with international capital, Indian defense firms must now align with the reporting language of global markets. Dr. Chowdhury's work shows that agency, stakeholder, and stewardship theories must be combined to fully evaluate defense sector governance. By committing to these global reporting frameworks, India's Navratna enterprises can evolve from domestic giants into global governance leaders. Corporate accountability requires proving internal actions against the world's most rigorous benchmarks.